One jump ahead of the breadline, one swing ahead of the sword. I steal only what I can afford. That's everything. One jump ahead of the lawmen, that's all, and that's no joke. These guys don't appreciate I'm broke.
Riff-raff! Straight rat! Scoundrel! Take that!
Just a little snack, guys.
Happy Spider-Man Day to all my fellow webheads out there, and what a day it is to be a Spider-Man fan and get to celebrate the character that we all love and have enjoyed for all these years. Now, on this day when we celebrate when that great issue of Amazing Fantasy 15 dropped and the world was forever changed with the appearance of that sensational, spectacular, friendly neighborhood, ultimate, amazing Spider-Man. And man, did the world change on that day. But what kind of super fan would I be if I didn't release a video today? So, for this video, we are going to rank the 3 non-Spidey, but Spidey character films from Sony. And coming in at number 3, we have Morbius. I don't think that's really a shocker to anyone. Though I will say, I thought Morbius was better than I was expecting based on earlier reviews. I thought Jared Leto did a fine job as Morbius. Overall, the characters were fine, but it didn't really stand out. It definitely felt like they had some idea, but they just weren't sure how to flesh it out. And those post-credit scenes, yeah, they just didn't make sense. But I still think this is a better film than people give it credit for. However, it will probably be the first film that I don't really have a desire or a rush to own. Though let's be honest, I owned Fantastic or Fantastic Four, the last one that came out. So chances are I'll probably get this one sometime because it is a Spider-Man film. So coming in at number 2, we have the original Venom movie. I love this movie. I love Venom. He's my favorite character from Spider-Man outside of Spidey himself. I don't consider him a villain really anymore. He's more of an anti-hero. But this movie, it nailed the character. It was great. It was fun. I felt like it gave more character to Eddie and the symbiote than we've had before. I felt like at that time, the symbiote didn't really seem to be responding with Eddie in the comics. I hadn't read him though too much. And especially in the animated series where I first got introduced to the character, clearly the symbiote wasn't talking, or at least that we could hear. So I loved that addition that we got to actually hear the symbiote talking to Eddie, kind of like how we're supposed to assume the tentacles were talking to Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. I love the look of Venom. I thought the symbiote looked fantastic. The fight scenes were good. This was a movie that did not need to be R. It didn't need to be bloody like people wanted. I had been exposed to it on the cartoon, like I said. So to me, he wasn't, bite your head off, blood, gore, that type of character. And he wasn't always that in the comics either. So I really never saw the problem that people had with this film. Me, like I said, I loved it. I think Tom Hardy is great as Eddie Brock. I love the voice that he brings to Venom. There's so many great lines in this movie that I just, when they pop into my head, I can't help but say them. Like, well, what are you hungry for? Chicken and tater tot. Oh, sorry. Let me correct that. What are you hungry for? Chocolate and tater tots. Love that line. And there's just so much about this movie I love. I love the look of Venom. I love the way the symbiote looks. The head talking to himself. It's great. I love the introduction of She-Venom that we get, that little glimpse. Riot is an okay villain. He's not great. He probably was a decent start, I'll admit. But, yeah, not great. The story probably could have used a little work when it came to how soon symbiotes got places and how things happened. But honestly, I just loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought the music was good. I thought the action scenes were good. I love that banter between Eddie and the symbiote. I thought it was great. So that is why Venom comes in at number 2. But obviously coming in at number 1 is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I absolutely loved this movie. And to be honest, I'm not even a huge Carnage fan. I love Venom more than I love Carnage. But I thought this movie was great. I wanted to see this movie so many times in theaters. It was just so good. I loved it. I loved the continuation of the banter, of the relationship between Eddie and Venom. Them splitting up was kind of funny. I do love the moment in the film where Venom's taking control and drawing all this stuff on the paper to show Eddie what he saw in Cletus' cell. I just thought that was a hilarious moment. The idea of Venom having chickens for friends, I thought that was funny. There's just so much about this movie that I just really enjoyed. I thought it was hilarious, but then when it got dark and it was great. Now, I know a lot of people, and you may be one of them, who says, no, we needed this movie for sure to be R because Carnage needed to cause carnage. There needed to be blood. There needed to be guts all over the place. Carnage is the one character you need to have violent. I'm not going to say I disagree. Yes, it would have been cool to see more of the carnage and the chaos that ensued from that character. But I thought it was really good. I mean, you don't always have to see everything. But I thought Carnage looked great. I loved Woody Harrelson as Cletus. He was psychotic. He was crazy. He was perfect for this part. This movie just had everything I wanted. I do wish, I admit, that it had been a little bit longer, because then we could have gotten more interactions between Carnage and Venom. We could have gotten more story and just more relationship stuff between them. But I don't care. I thought we got great stuff. Like I said, I would have loved more. But more doesn't always mean better, so maybe we got exactly what we needed. Like I said, love the look of Carnage. Venom still looks great. The humor's there. The relationship issues are good. Like the interaction between his ex-fiance or ex-girlfriend and her new relationship. Cletus and Scream is great. The only thing that I kind of had an issue with was Cletus saying saying we. Whatever, I admit that's the one little thing I can't remember. But the fact that Venom should say we and Carnage should say I, just to show how more of a relationship they have with their symbiotes, that's the one thing I kind of was like, you didn't quite hit that for me. But it works because they're changing the story where Venom and Eddie are much more of a symbiotic relationship and much more closer than they were originally in the comics, in the cartoon. Regardless, love this movie. Do kind of wish that, I'm going to give a spoiler right here, but if you haven't seen the movie, I don't think you're going to. I do kind of wish that they hadn't killed Cletus. I'm going to assume Carnage can still come back because it is movies. But yeah, that was the one thing that I'm like, oh, why did you kill him? I wanted more Carnage. We needed more of that. But I thought the backstory that they changed was good. I thought everything they did, just how they made it work for their story, was good. And I've learned over time, things don't have to be exactly as they are in the comic books. And this just proves it. These two Venom films just prove that you didn't need Spider-Man, and you could still make a great movie. So that is why Venom, Let There Be Carnage comes in at number 1. Oh, the only other thing that was great, of course, was that post-credit scene, but it was a little disappointing because they never really delivered in No Way Home. So, coming in number 3 is Morbius. Coming in at number 2 is Venom. And finally, coming in at number 1 is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I might do a retro review for Venom and Venom, Let There Be Carnage somewhere down the line. So keep an eye open for that. If you want a full review on Morbius, it's here on my channel. But what do you think of these films? How would you rank these 3 films? Am I wrong? Do you think Morbius was fantastic? Do you think Venom sucks? Whatever the case, leave your comments down below and let me know. So, until the next time we talk about Spider-Man, which definitely is going to be before the next Spider-Man day, remember, enjoy what you love, read what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time. Oh, and here's Web in Your Eyes.